Why you should hunt solo when you're developing a bird dog.
Ruby.
Now I know when people go upland hunting, they go duck hunting, it's often a pretty social affair, which is fine. But if you have a young dog, like I'm running a 3-year-old dog right now, the dynamics of a hunt, when you have even one other person, whether they have a dog or not, or 7 other people with you and a bunch of dogs, it changes everything. And this goes for, you know, the pheasant sloughs, maybe grouse hunting up in the North Woods, definitely goes for duck hunting. There's a lot of considerations to make there, and people don't want to do this, but I'm telling you, if you want that dog to figure things out and really put those pieces together, solo hunts are the ticket.
Eat it.
Now, first off, you don't have that competition aspect or that distraction aspect. So you take a young dog, say it's in its first, second, third season, and you go out there by yourself with that dog. You know, you're running this cattail slough and you slow down and just let them set the pace. There's no other dogs getting ahead of them, no people walking ahead and getting you to walk faster and drawing that dog's attention away from the mission. It's so important for them to figure this stuff out and be relaxed. And I'll tell you, if you're used to kind of doing the gang hunt where there's 8 people all in a line and you know you burn through a CRP field or whatever, if you watch your dog's demeanor during something like that, and then you take them out and go do a solo hunt where you're like, I'm gonna let them drive the ship, right? Like I'm gonna let them set the pace. I'm gonna watch them, read them. They will be so much more relaxed in that situation. Now you think about that in a duck hunting situation as well, same rules apply. Everybody wants to go get into that blind with their buddies and you know, there's a 10-year-old dog on one end and a 4-year-old dog here, and then you've got your young dog in the middle, and you're trying to send out individual dogs. Chaos as those mallards or whatever come in. That's a lot to ask out of a dog that has, you know, maybe only been trained, you know, without tons of real world experience yet, because there's only so much you can do in your backyard throwing bumpers and dummies, and all that stuff's great. But an actual hunt is a different thing. The excitement levels through the roof. You're gonna see some attrition on their skills. You just are. They're gonna fall back a little bit and they're gonna break more. They're not gonna listen as much. And the more that you introduce these kind of, you know, outside elements that could be very distracting and produce that competition aspect to it, the more you're gonna watch your dog fall apart. And the more that you're gonna lose, you know, your temper maybe a little bit because, you know, you want your dog to perform and your buddies are there and everybody sees it. There's just a different vibe to this stuff if you're willing to go solo. And I'm telling you, if you're running a flusher, you know, in the upland field, or you have that duck dog, the way for them to learn every step of what you want them to do is to be in a low stress, relaxed situation where they're not worried about anything. You know, they might be checking back on you in that slough. You know, they may be looking at you quite a bit in that duck blind for some guidance, but it's just you and them. And there is a huge difference there that really, really matters. And it plays into every part of the hunt. Even though it kind of feels like maybe a slower pace, they learn it actually better by doing it that route than throwing them into the mix and being like, hey, figure it out while that dog's grabbing your attention and trying to play grab ass with you. And that guy's shooting too early at the ducks that came in. It's really, really important for your dog to have stress-free hunts where it's like a positive experience instead of trying to correct them all the time and getting angry. You want to be there in that praise situation where they're like, oh, you know, work that hen right on the edge of the cattails and you let that thing play out, flushes. That's a huge moment to celebrate. You know, maybe it's a rooster the next time, or you go sit on the edge of a little, you know, wood duck pond or something versus going for the big water, you know, pit blind hunt with your buddies. You know, maybe you only shoot a wood duck or a teal or something like that, but you can run that dog through the steadiness, you know, the mark, the hand signals, the whole thing without any of those other distractions around. And those hunts, even though they might not produce a limit of greenheads, maybe not a limit of roosters or rough grouse or whatever, but every one of those bird contacts is huge for the development of a dog. Every time they kind of daisy chain together those skills you've been working on, to where it's the flush, the mark, the retrieve, the deliver to hand, every time that happens, your dog is leveling up. And it's sometimes way harder to get that when you're hunting with other people, even one other person. So think about that if you're developing a bird dog, you know, whether it's a duck dog, whether it's an upland dog, go hunt solo with them. Learn that dog, let that dog learn you, work together, and let them develop. They'll be so much better by the time they hit middle age, you won't even believe it.